You're listening to the Sasha Davis Podcast, a show about overcoming fear and manifesting your dream life. Each week, we'll dive deep into real stories and tangible advice about spirituality, law of attraction, mindset, and money so that you can be your happiest, healthiest, and most abundant self. You ready? Here we go. Welcome back to another episode of the Sasha Davis Podcast. Today, I want to talk to you about goals because it is a new year and you guys are seeing it everywhere. You know, new year, new you, set goals, crush your goals. Now's the time. Goodbye 2020, all this stuff, right? And while I don't necessarily jump on the goals bandwagon beginning of the year because I set goals for myself quarterly, believe it or not, that works best for me. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I don't get into the new year stuff a whole lot, but I know that there's people out there who do. And for those of you, this may be like it really could be a new you. Okay. And so for those of you who want to set goals and don't know where to start or looking to take your goals to the next level, I want to share with you just a few tips that I do to help me reach those goals. Okay. So the first one is going to be creating goals that make you feel good. The biggest thing, sorry, I'm like, I don't know if you guys know this, but we are expecting child number 3 and this summer, and I'm just like constantly out of breath. I'm like, when did this start so early? But I'm like always out of breath. So you guys are just gonna have to deal with it. But one of the things that I always like to ask myself is, how do I want to feel? Does this make me feel good? Because when we can feel good, we attract more amazing things into our life that vibrate on that feeling good level. Okay, so we manifest at a level of what we are feeling. So emotions are the key to manifestation. Emotions are the key to law of attraction. And so when we're feeling good, we will attract more things into our life that feel good. If you're feeling amazing, you'll attract amazing. If you feel joy, you'll attract joy. And so I always want to ask you or ask myself, do these goals make me feel good? And if not, how can I course correct or reframe them to make them feel a little better for me? Okay. And then after I do that, I also want to create the specific action steps for these goals. And so this next tip, you guys may cringe, but this is something that I learned many years ago through the corporate world. This is when it was first introduced to me. And so for those of you who are about to, for those of you who know what I'm going to say, like, please tune in still, because you can reframe this to work for your personal life. This is what I've done. And this has helped me be very successful because I've been able to break down my goals into actionable steps and achievable steps so that I can see, where point A to point B and the steps I took to get there. Okay. And then also being able to track my progress over time and being able to scale my goals, things like that. And so what I want to talk to you today is about SMART goals. This is the actual action steps. You guys hear me talk about law of attraction and manifestation. That is more on the emotional side, the spirituality side. We want you feeling good. We want you to attract good things into your life. But you also have to do the action that goes behind that, okay? And so this is where, for me, SMART goals comes into place. So for those of you who don't know what SMART goals are, SMART is actually an acronym. And I will read to you, or I will share with you what that stands for. So SMART stands for, they have to be specific, they have to be measurable, they have to be attainable, they have to be realistic or relevant, and they have to be time-based, time-focused, time-limited, things like that. So a specific period of time on when you want to achieve these goals. And so not all of our goals will fit into SMART goals. Like if your goal is to feel joy, obviously you would need to break that down into action steps on how to create SMART goals to feel more joy. Okay. So this is where we're going to get super specific. And I'm just going to use myself as an example. I'm going to use one of the goals that I'm working on right now this quarter, something that I actually just started today. So this is going to be, new and exciting. And you guys can kind of follow along with that journey too. I'll be sharing about it on Instagram. It's nothing super crazy, but I'm training for a half marathon. I'm super excited about it. I've done 5Ks and 10Ks and gladiator runs, and I played roller derby for a number of years. I've always been, athletic. And even though I'm pregnant, I'll modify if I need to, but pregnant or not, I've always been very active. So this is just like an added accountability to help me really get my ass moving. That's what it's for. So it encompasses like running and cross training and yoga, which are all things that I don't really enjoy running, but I always had this idea that like I want to be a runner. And so this is helping me achieve that goal. Okay. So first step, we want our goals to be specific. So what do you want to accomplish? Why is this important? Who is involved? The who, the what, the where, the why, the how, okay? That is the specific part. So for me specifically, I am involved. I am in a group. I am going to be running a half marathon, and the marathon is going to be taking place on like March 27th. I believe the half is going to be taking place on March 27th. The action steps are laid out every day. What I need to do, what I need to eat, what I need to do to check in, all of those things. So it is a very specific goal, and it makes me feel energized. It makes me feel alive. It makes me feel accountable, all of those things, which I absolutely love. Measurable. So is it measurable? How am I measuring this? How will I know when this goal is accomplished? And so how I'm going to measure this is I have daily action steps that I have to do, daily workouts that I have to do. And so I will do that workout, and then I will be able to measure my progress there. Okay. And I will also be able to track my progress week by week based on how many miles I can run, and also the pace. So I can measure my pace, my time, my amount of miles, how many days I show up for workouts, how much food I'm eating in a day. There's lots of measurable action steps within there. So for your goal, you want to make sure it's specific, and you want to make sure it's measurable. Now, the next thing you want to do is make sure that it's achievable. And so this is where people can be on one or two ends of the spectrum. I either attract people who don't dream big enough or people who dream too big. And so me, honestly, I would have been like, let's do a full marathon. But I know that that's probably out of my wheelhouse, being pregnant and to accomplish in 3 months. So a half seems achievable to me. It may or may not be, I may have to course correct about 6 weeks in, who knows? But for me, a half seems very achievable. It seems very attainable. Okay. And so ask yourself, like, if you're going to go from couch to 5K, or if you're going to go from, I made $0 this year to $1 million this year, or I went from 0 clients to 10,000 clients, like you want to make sure that it's actually achievable. And so I actually just had a conversation with a gal, and I said, hey, can you reach out to 25 people? And she's like, I don't even know if I know 25 people. So if that's not achievable, we'll scale it back. Okay. So maybe reaching out to 10 people, and that felt good. So you have to ask yourself, whatever is achievable, does that also feel good? I was talking to another client of mine, and they were talking about their business and how they made like $2 million that year, and their goal was 3 million. And so instead of keeping their goal as 3 million this year, they wanted to jump it back up to 4 million. So that can go one of two ways, right? Because if you didn't achieve it the first time, you may have struggle achieving it the next time if you don't take the next necessary action steps. So just making sure that if it feels good to you and they're actually going to attain it, because there's nothing worse than setting a goal and not being able to attain it, right? Goals are supposed to help us create momentum. Goals are supposed to make us feel fulfilled. They're supposed to help us create progress and move the needle forward in our life and in our business. So just ask yourself, is this achievable? Does it make me feel good? Can I actually get this done? And you can adjust it from there. This is sometimes where it's nice to have a coach as well, where you can like bounce ideas off of people or have an accountability partner or somebody that you trust, and just be like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I've done in the past. Like, what are your thoughts on this? And you can really just like hash out what you think could be an achievable goal for you. Next is what you really want to find out if it's relevant to you. Like, is this goal even worthwhile, or is this something that somebody else wants to do for you? Like, why are you doing this goal? Okay, this goal needs to matter to you. Is now the right time? Okay, and that can be a tricky question, but sometimes I work with people who are busy, go, want to do all the things all the time. And so we have to prioritize our goals, because if you're putting split focus, split attention among 10 different things, you're also going to half-ass all those 10 different things. So making sure that the goal is relevant to who you are today, who you are now, and really asking yourself if this is a goal for you or is this a goal for somebody else? Because sometimes we will have our goals based on what we think other people want us to achieve. And that's not relevant to you, right? That doesn't align with your bigger vision, your bigger purpose, your bigger mission. And so relevancy can also equate to alignment. So are these goals in alignment with who I am as a person and the things that I wish to achieve in my lifetime? Okay, so ask yourself that. Last thing is going to be time. Okay, when are you going to do this? What are your action steps going to be? What are your daily action steps going to be? What are your monthly, weekly, yearly? When do you want to achieve this? When do you want to accomplish this by? And so time can be very tricky because sometimes if people don't achieve a goal within a specific amount of time, they tend to just throw their arms up in the air and be like, oh, I give up, I quit. And I don't want you guys to do that. So if you have a goal to do something in, let's say 3 months, for example. So let's use my example. Okay. So I have 3 months to run this half marathon. Okay. What I will do. So right now, time-wise, that seems very doable if I stay on track. Okay. If I continue with my workouts, if I continue with my eating well, blah, 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 blah. But I'm also growing a human. I also have 2 young children. I also work like full-time running my own business, right? And there's just a lot of different factors that can come up. So at the end of each week, and even like midway, 6 weeks, I'll ask myself, am I still on track to achieve this goal? And if not, I will course correct. And this is where like the time can be, I'm going to say modified, because I would rather run a half marathon in 6 months than not do it at all. Right? So just because, like, let's just say that I don't stick with the 3 months and I can't do it, something comes up, I can no longer run, or maybe I only run, instead of running 13 miles, maybe I only run 10, or maybe I only run 8, and just being okay with that. And then, course correcting my goal of like, well, I'm still going to run a half marathon. I'm just going to give myself longer to be able to do it because that goal is very important to me. It's very in alignment with how I want to feel. So I'm just going to extend my timeline, okay? And I don't mean to do that for everybody, but if certain circumstances arise, I would rather you course correct rather than just like throw it up in the air and not do it at all. So again, these are just the 2 things that I do when setting goals. And then the next podcast, I do want to talk about vision board and vision planning. This is a question I get all the time. People tend to overcomplicate it, or they don't know what to put, there's just so much that goes into vision board planning. And I really want to break that down and simplify it for you guys. So be on the lookout for that episode coming up. But for those of you who are really mapping out your 2021 goals, or maybe want to just like reevaluate them if you've already done them, ask yourself, does this feel good? What am I going to be manifesting in my life? Am I vibrating? Am I putting off the frequency of joy and happiness and positive vibrations? If not, how can I get myself back to feeling good? Okay. When you feel good, you attract more good things into your life. And then really going through those SMART goals. Is this specific? Is this measurable? Is it attainable? Is it relevant to me? And what is my timeline for this? So ask yourself those things, get super specific on what your goals are, and then break them down into daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly action steps so that you can measure your progress throughout and course correct if needed. Okay. So I hope you found this helpful. If you did, screenshot, share on social media, tag me, Sasha.Davis, share with a friend, or if you have other goal setting, goal oriented information, I don't know, anything in terms of goal setting or what helps you, I would love for you to share that with me because I'm always open to hearing and learning and seeing what works for other people. So shoot me a message on Instagram, Sasha.Davis, and I'd love to hear from you. Have a kick-ass day, guys. Have you ever wanted to escape the chaos of your everyday life? Drop all of the labels and just be yourself? If so, I have the perfect opportunity for you to do just that. This spring, we will be hosting another 4-day mind, body, spirit, all-inclusive retreat in the Black Hills, South Dakota. Limited spots are available, so head on over to SashaDavis.com to secure your spot today. We hope to see you in the Black Hills.